Welcome back to Gelden Stardom. Today, we're diving into the strange and unforgettable world of 1970s television. The 70s gave us disco, bell-bottoms, and some of the most bizarre TV shows ever made. From sitcoms that made no sense to variety shows that left audiences scratching their heads, we've rounded up 10 weird 1970s TV shows you probably forgot even existed. Let's get started. 1. Quark, 1977–78. In the late 1970s, television was eager to cash in on the massive success of Star Wars. One of the strangest attempts was Quark, a short-lived NBC sitcom created by Buck Henry, the mind behind Get Smart. The series followed Adam Quark, a spaceship captain whose job was collecting space garbage. Instead of thrilling space battles, viewers got jokes about trash disposal, malfunctioning technology, and aliens that looked more like rejects from a costume shop than intergalactic villains. Quark's crew included two clones who constantly argued over which one was the real person, a sentient plant named Ficus, and a cowardly robot assistant. The humor was campy, the sets were cheap, and the plots leaned into pure absurdity. Despite its odd premise, Quark developed a cult following for its parody of science fiction tropes, making it one of the weirdest, and most unforgettable, TV shows of the 1970s. 2. Supertrain, 1979. In 1979, NBC gambled on one of the most expensive TV projects of the decade, Supertrain. Designed as the network's answer to the Love Boat, the series traded ocean cruises for a futuristic luxury train speeding across America on nuclear-powered tracks. The train itself was massive, so big it even included swimming pools, shopping areas, and restaurants. Each week, different guest stars boarded the Supertrain, leading to romantic entanglements, mysteries, and melodrama. But the series quickly went off the rails. The special effects looked cheap, the storylines lacked charm, and the enormous production costs made it a financial nightmare for NBC. Despite heavy promotion, audiences simply weren't interested, and Supertrain was cancelled after just a few episodes. Today, it's remembered less for its stories and more as one of television's most legendary flops, proof that bigger doesn't always mean better when it comes to primetime entertainment. 3. The Brady Bunch Hour, 1976–77. After the Brady Bunch ended in 1974, most fans thought the story of the wholesome TV family was over. But in 1976, ABC decided to bring them back in one of the strangest ways possible, a glitter-filled variety show. The Brady Bunch Hour transformed the once simple suburban family into a disco-singing, joke-cracking, high-energy act, complete with sequined costumes, choreographed dance numbers, and musical skits. The show featured the original Brady cast, except for Eve Plum, who declined to return, leading producers to awkwardly replace her with a fake January. Critics were baffled, fans were confused, and the ratings were a disaster. Despite all the flashy production, the series lasted only 9 episodes before being cancelled. Today, the Brady Bunch Hour is remembered as one of the weirdest spin-offs in TV history, a bizarre experiment that proved not every beloved sitcom family belongs on a variety show stage. 4. Holmes Yoyo, 1976. During the 1970s, TV networks were experimenting with mixing genres, and Holmes Yoyo became one of the strangest results. The ABC sitcom followed Detective Holmes, a straight-laced cop, who was partnered with Yoyo, a clumsy, childlike android disguised as a human. Each episode revolved around Yoyo's constant malfunctions, magnets sticking to his chest, cameras hidden in his nose, and his tendency to short-circuit at the worst possible times. While it was pitched as a buddy cop comedy with a futuristic twist, the humor often fell flat, and critics found it more awkward than funny. Still, the absurdity gave it a certain charm, especially with Yoyo's robotic quirks and Holmes' frustrated attempts to cover for him. Despite its unique premise, the show lasted only 13 episodes before cancellation. Today, Holmes Yoyo lives on as a cult oddity, remembered more for its weirdness than its storytelling success. The Fantastic Journey, 1977. The Fantastic Journey was NBC's attempt to capture the growing fascination with science fiction and the supernatural in the late 1970s. The series followed a group of travelers who, after flying into the Bermuda Triangle, found themselves trapped in a mysterious dimension filled with strange lands and unusual beings. Each episode took the group into a different world, sometimes futuristic, sometimes mystical, creating a mix of sci-fi adventure and fantasy escapism. The cast included Roddy McDowall, who added some credibility, but even his presence couldn't save the show from its uneven writing and bizarre storylines. With glowing pyramids, psychic teenagers, and endless campy special effects, the show felt like a blend of Lost in Space and a low-budget Star Trek. Unfortunately, it lasted only 10 episodes before cancellation. Today, the fantastic journey remains a cult curiosity, remembered for its wild imagination, colorful 70s style, and delightfully strange premise. Carter Country, 1977–79. Airing on ABC from 1977 to 1979, Carter Country was a sitcom set in the fictional small southern town of Clinton Corners, Georgia. The show centered on Sheriff Roy Moby and his deputy, Harley Puckett, as they balanced maintaining order with endless small-town quirks. The comedy leaned heavily on southern stereotypes, slow-talking deputies, good old boy humor, and exaggerated accents, which didn't always sit well with audiences. The series attempted to ride the wave of rural comedies from the 1960s and 70s but felt outdated almost immediately. While it touched occasionally on social issues like race relations, the execution often came across as clumsy rather than clever. Despite modest ratings that kept it alive for 2 seasons, Carter Country never made a lasting cultural impact. Today, it's largely forgotten, remembered only as one of the many attempts to cash in on Southern-themed comedy during the television landscape of the late 70s. Turn On, 1969–70 revival attempts. Turn On is often called the fastest flop in television history. Premiering on ABC in 1969, the sketch comedy show was designed as a follow-up to Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, but with an even edgier and more experimental style. The program relied heavily on rapid-fire jokes, animation, sexual innuendo, and politically charged humor. Instead of traditional sets, it used quick cuts and psychedelic visuals to keep audiences off balance. Unfortunately, the format was so strange and offensive to some viewers that many local stations pulled the plug during the very first broadcast. Plans for a revival in the early 1970s never gained traction, as the show had already developed a reputation as unwatchable. While only 1 episode officially aired, Turn On became legendary in TV history as an example of how pushing boundaries too far, too fast, could end a series instantly. It remains infamous as television's shortest-lived, strangest experiment. When Things Were Rotten, 1975. In 1975, legendary comedy creator Mel Brooks tried his hand at television with When Things Were Rotten, a parody sitcom based on the legend of Robin Hood. Unlike traditional swashbuckling tales, this version was pure slapstick, filled with corny jokes, puns, and outrageous gags. Robin Hood and his merry men were portrayed as bumbling heroes who caused more chaos than good, while the Sheriff of Nottingham and other villains were played for pure comedy. The humor was very much in Brooks' style, echoing the tone of Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein, but television audiences weren't ready for that level of absurdity on a weekly basis. Critics found it silly rather than clever, and ratings quickly dropped. The show lasted only 13 episodes before being cancelled. Still, it developed a small cult following and is remembered today as an early experiment in spoof comedy that paved the way for later parodies. Pink Lady and Jeff, 1980. Although it technically premiered in 1980, Pink Lady and Jeff was born out of the late 70s variety show craze. The concept paired Japanese pop duo Pink Lady, Mia and Kei, with American comedian Jeff Altman. The problem? The singers spoke almost no English, and the language barrier made the show painfully awkward from the start. Episodes featured Pink Lady performing flashy musical numbers, while Altman filled the gaps with stand-up routines and comedy sketches. The chemistry between the stars was virtually non-existent, and much of the humor relied on forced cultural misunderstandings. Despite heavy promotion by NBC, viewers were baffled, and critics quickly labeled it one of the worst shows ever aired on network television. The program was cancelled after just 6 episodes. Today, Pink Lady and Jeff is remembered less as entertainment and more as a cautionary tale about mismatched casting and the decline of the variety show format. The Star Wars Holiday Special, 1978. Few television events are as infamous as the Star Wars Holiday Special, which aired on CBS in November 1978. Riding on the massive success of the original Star Wars film just 1 year earlier, the special was marketed as a fun way to keep fans engaged while waiting for the sequel, The Empire Strikes Back. Instead, it turned into one of the most bizarre, confusing, and cringe-worthy productions in TV history. The plot centered around Chewbacca's family, his wife Mulla, father Itchy, and son Lumpy, celebrating a Wookiee holiday called Life Day. Much of the special showed them grunting and growling in untranslated Wookiee dialogue, leaving audiences bewildered. To pad out the runtime, producers inserted a mix of strange comedy sketches, variety show musical numbers, and random guest appearances by celebrities like B. Arthur, Harvey Korman, and Art Carney. Even the main Star Wars cast, Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, and Carrie Fisher, looked uncomfortable throughout. Perhaps the strangest element was the inclusion of an animated segment featuring the very first appearance of bounty hunter Boba Fett. Ironically, that cartoon became the special's only redeeming legacy. The holiday special was panned so heavily that it only aired once and was never officially released. George Lucas himself famously wished he could destroy every copy. Still, bootleg recordings spread among fans, giving it cult status as a "so bad it's good" legend. Today, it remains the most notorious piece of Star Wars history, an unforgettable example of how a beloved franchise can go horribly wrong on live television.